melatonin is the hormone that regulates every other hormone system in the body. And when we mix up our nights and days, it screws up our appetites. It makes us eat more. It puts us at risk for a whole lot of diseases, including hypertension and heart disease and diabetes and cancer.
It is impossible to stop this creation process. Even when you leave the earth, it will carry on creating for you and serving you. This is where all conscious mind comes into picture. So your subconscious mind creates everything that you need. So we have a model here now.
Everyone's having a dream, finally, ability.
What up, everybody? It's Nick Ritter. We're back. This is Auditory Osmosis. Welcome back to the studios. This is episode 25. As always, my co-host is Mr. Ether Hawkins. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing excellent, as always. I mean, we're finally back. We had, last time we had Mr. Aaron on. The discussion was all right, but we neglected to stay up to date on the news. And he is gone.
He is not here tonight.
And we're back.
We are.
We're back in black. Not AC/DC style.
Oh, sorry.
Not Black Panther style.
Like Men in Black 2 or 3?
We're just audio shadow figures.
Yeah.
Coming through the news sphere.
Straight out the ether.
Straight out the ether.
Using auditory osmosis to enter your brain stems.
But you know, okay, here's the thing. We have a debate coming up. And it's funny because the news radio stations, all of the media outlets, they're all going, this debate is going to shatter all known records. Of course it is. I mean, this whole campaign has been about shattering records. And for the media, they love it. They've been gobbling up the controversy, right? Like, we've been back and forth about, is Donald Trump real? Is he a co-opted campaign? Is Hillary Clinton the real deal? I'm going into some type of quasi-Bernie Sanders. But my point is
I still don't back either of them.
Right. And the majority of the Americans, like the educated, intelligent American families, they don't like either of them.
President Camacho. Remember Idiocracy?
Yeah, exactly. Are we entering Idiocracy? Are we there?
It's becoming, I mean, dude, the show is already coming true. You know, like it's been showing us things over and over and over. Mike Judge is a genius.
Well, it's funny. I've said it before in a podcast, but Mike Judge was like, yeah, it's a documentary, or the way he talks, he kind of breaks up his sentences and he kind of talks like this.
It's like,
but yeah, he's a good guy. And the guy who did They Live, John Carpenter, the guy behind, I believe, the Halloween series, he was like, yeah, They Live, that it's a documentary. The point is we're entering this situation.
Sorry, I couldn't hold myself.
No, it's good. It's good. Humor is good.
It's such a good movie. People go watch it.
It's therapeutic. Humor is therapeutic. But the point is like this has so many dimensions. This election, and
by the way,
it has like this.
Before we get into this, what are you drinking tonight?
Nothing. Just water.
Oh, no tea?
Well, I had tea, and I have what I do is like when I brew tea, I cool it down and save it for later. So I have this White Orchard tea. But right now I actually have water. But going back to the election,
okay.
I was just gonna say that Donald Trump. We could go back and forth, but if I had to do a critical analysis on this character, Donald Trump, he's been with us as what? A reality TV star, right? He's been on the WWE. He had his own show. What was it called? The Apprentice. Is that right? The Apprentice.
I used to love that show.
I just can't believe, like, you could argue that this guy was trying to infiltrate the mainstream mind and he was some type of political sleeper cell, like the immigrants being shipped in, but that's a different topic. But Donald Trump has come out of nowhere, but really not to the chagrin of the established bureaucracy, because they are panicking and the news media outlets are eating it up. And then you have Hillary Clinton, a dying.
Hang on 1 second. Somebody in Trump's, I don't know, one of Trump's people had, and the meme came up real fast, but he had said, the Syrian or like immigrants are like, say you reach into a bowl of Skittles and 10% of them are poison. Would you eat a handful?
Right. He says these very provocative. It's just, yeah, he's a provocative person, and he's provoking a reaction out of the majority of these folks that are not voters. They're coming out of the woodworks. And I said before that perhaps the underground media has been co-opting with the Donald Trump campaign, but we're in the digital age, right? The information age. And if we're in this digital age, it makes sense that we would have different trending topics and a different type of diagram for the political blueprint of this country. And I feel as if maybe Donald Trump represents that. Of course, that's also a sad situation if he represents the digitization of the political theater, because you would think that the majority of active participants in the digital culture would be the young folks. But this is driven by the I suppose the disenfranchised, the voters that are not necessarily technologically savvy, but they finally have a candidate that is outside of the normal. And getting back to Hillary Clinton, what is Hillary Clinton? She is the epitome of the old politics, right? Mm-hmm. And what is currently happening? She's dying in this digital age in more than one way. Physically,
literally.
right. Physically and metaphorically, because she doesn't know how to compete in digitized political arena.
Did you hear the joke about her?
No, I didn't. Please.
This might be too soon, but
it's never too soon. You argued once that there is no such thing as too soon.
That's true. Okay, what do Tower 7 and Hillary Clinton have in common?
Well, okay, what?
No airplane or anything had to hit them before they went falling to the ground.
Oh boy.
Sorry.
See, that's not too soon. It actually is too late. That type of joke should have been considered when Tower 7 collapsed.
Yeah.
But is there such thing as too late jokes? Nobody ever says that. It's a little too late.
Actually,
yeah, man, that was too late, man. That's not funny.
That's not necessarily true, because if you or I would like put in some comedy, like some, we'll say Eddie, what was his name? Eddie Murphy Raw.
That was ahead of its time.
But you can't now. If you watch it, you can't get half of those jokes because you don't know the politics back then. You don't know the shit back then. You don't know the events back then. So yes, it was too late.
Is that the 80s with the leather suits and whatnot?
Oh, dude, that was great.
But I mean, his comedy, that was. I don't want to get off into a branch of Eddie Murphy being a genius.
I think it was the first time fag was said on stage too.
But Eddie Murphy was more funny than Chris Tucker, Chris Rock combined,
dude,
before they ever hit the silver screen.
For sure.
Go check out Delirious and Raw. Those, I guess we'll plug them. Go check out Eddie Murphy before he became a family friendly. What was that? What was his big family friendly hit where he was like a doctor and he played
The Nutty Professor?
Yeah, The Nutty Professor, and there was an animal one too.
Be my Hercules.
But yeah, like, what do you think of this? Like, when these debates roll out, do you think Donald Trump is just going to hit her in the gut? Or do you think Hillary Clinton's going to act like the internet never happened and the leaks never happened?
Well, he's going to bring all that shit out. She's going to go right for the heart, I feel. She's going to be...
Yeah, but what is the heart? What is the heart for Donald Trump? Because from my eyes, I mean, I don't think the guy has a heart. He's doing cutthroat things.
Yeah. Well, she's going to be as snide, and I think as what's the word? She's going to be hateful.
Conniving.
Oh, conniving and hateful kind of thing. Yeah, for very much so. But I feel like that's
and to Donald Trump's credit, he's heartless because he's engaging in a heartless field.
Right.
You know? Like maybe the guy does have he probably has integrity and stuff. And I think what really shocks the whole media. Can I just say a few things? With all these hackers hacking the DNC, hacking political people like Colin Powell and other prestigious, notable figures, we're starting to get this mosaic, this picture coming out. And a lot of these Republican people are members of the Bohemian Grove. Did you know that members of the Bohemian Grove are voting for Hillary Clinton and they hate Donald Trump? And on top of that, George W.H. Bush is voting for Hillary Clinton.
Yeah,
this is to say that maybe the vote matters. We still don't know if it's even that. Like, are we that deep into a facade? And to clarify, Newt Gingrich slipped up. If you remember, Newt Gingrich was involved in the Bill Clinton fiasco back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And he slipped up on Fox one day, a few months ago. People in the deep web, they say, well, this is just the establishment painting a picture that they want us to see. They want us to believe that secret societies rule the world because it's kind of like government through Newsleak. And later on the podcast, I might touch on this whole Oliver Stone Snowden film, how people have come to accept the Snowden leaks, but instead of challenging, they embrace the data. It becomes government through Newsleak. But going back to Newt Gingrich slipped up on Fox News, and he said, somebody asked him, he said, why do the Republicans hate Donald Trump? And Newt Gingrich goes, well, he's not a part of the secret societies. He hasn't been through the initiations. And I couldn't believe, like, you can look this clip up on YouTube, people. We're starting to get this picture that most of our politicians are paid for identities that are going along with the program of whatever lobbyist gives them the funds to run their campaign. And the majority of these people are members of secret societies. So going back, a lot of the policies we see instituted exoterically or publicly are formulated behind closed doors esoterically. And these leaks, these emails, going back to the digitization of the new political field, I don't think Hillary Clinton can compete in this arena because she is used to a field where private information is private. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Can they dig up enough dirt on Donald Trump? Because what they've been saying, the dirt that has been dug, is actually in favor of Donald Trump. And I don't know if this is by design or what, because so many people right now don't believe the mainstream media. They're going to underground news sources. They are well aware through films like Oliver Stone and Snowden. They're well aware that the NSA and these government entities are hacking. You can just call it hacking, whether it's constitutional or not, lawful or not. It's still them hacking your private property. We are now living in this new environment that actually favors fear. And somehow Donald Trump has taken advantage of this culture of fear and he's twisted it to make the media give him coverage. It's like a Rubik's Cube. He's been twisting it to align the colors. He's a political astrologist. He's aligning the stars to his favor. And come November, he wants to hit the White House. Did you know NASA added a sign to the constellation? But that's beyond the point. I want to know, what are your...
What did they add? I have to hear this.
I actually didn't look into this. I kind of glanced at it and I was like, well, I don't know if that's even stuff that I pay attention to anyways. So I kind of brushed it off. But I mean, I guess they're messing with the zodiac signs.
Well, I bet you it's why, because the zodiac, it's turned enough to where they had to go backwards in zodiac signs, so they had to like add one.
Yeah, that makes sense. All I know is, they can add whatever they want because NASA's NASA. But, what do you really think? Like, I want to hear Nicholas Ritter's, I want to hear his point of view when it comes to this election, because I feel like I always just spew a bunch of stuff in my opinions.
I don't,
but I really want.
I honestly, I mean,
who are you voting for? Do you vote? Are you going to vote?
I do vote, but I don't know if yeah, I mean, I probably will vote, and everybody else, we can always go back to our votes don't really matter anyway, but
I voted for Gary Johnson in 2012.
Yeah.
I know it didn't matter, but I did it.
And again this year?
No, this year, the way I see it, I'm going to vote. I didn't want to originally disclose this, but I'm going to vote Trump because there's a twisted analysis on coming from my perspective. I want to see what he does, or I want to watch the world burn.
Mr. Hawkins, so drastic.
Because I still think that he may be a crypto Nazi. Did you know Trump is in favor of stop and frisk searches? If that's what America wants, they can have it. I just want them to have it. If that's what they want, like if we have lost all political potency, we the people, they might as well get what they deserve. That's where I'm at in this election.
What?
Yep. Why? Because
you're being self-deprecating.
It's been 60 years for the people of this nation to kind of figure out what democracy is. So the only reason I say 60 years is because I kind of mark like the Kennedy assassination. I suppose it hasn't been. I was saying I just kind of mark the Kennedy assassination as the end of real democracy. But anyways, I don't even know if that's 60 years here. But the point is
about right.
I just think that the American people, if they haven't figured out a way to get this country working right, I guess they can vote for Donald Trump and either watch the world go topsy-turvy or watch it burn. And I don't mean that I'm going to be participating in this burning, but what I'm saying is they will get what they deserve. They reap what they sow.
Yeah. And I guess, and I see what you're saying. You want to be with the people right now. And if the people finally have the option to pick what they want, like literally pick the two opposites, exactly what I guess the government's doing, right? But
I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, the benefit of the doubt to make the people make everything better because of the people.
A popular decision.
Right.
And I mean, how do you feel? Like, do you think I just don't know what to think about this election. Like I throughout the whole, if you go through the archive of our podcast, you will see me struggle with this idea that is Donald Trump real? Is he not real? Is Hillary Clinton real? Is she not real? Is the election itself real? So I go through these phases. And I've come to the conclusion that I will support the popular vote based on the idea of democracy. And if that works out, and if it doesn't, none of that falls on my shoulders.
Yeah, I get it. I don't think I'm going to vote for Trump or for Hillary. I know I'm not. I'm going to go third party here.
And once again, the third party will not be getting debate. This is how pathetic
most likely
our debates are. At least in the first debate, it's clarified that we will not have Gary Johnson on the platform. We will not have, who's the green, Jill Stein or Stein? Wasn't she arrested recently?
Well, I don't know. She speaks
That's
her
what I
mind.
heard.
I don't know. I don't know.
I just feel like the third-party candidates are kind of these people stuck on college campuses, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That's literally the only place where real dialogue is occurring when it comes to politics. The rest of what you see is identity and media politics. Everything else is programmed. Like the only type of, and you could argue that even on the college campuses, the left and right are programmed responses based on the poli-sci professors or what have you. But like I say, I'm going to vote for the popular candidate, and I'm going to watch change actually happen, just like I thought with Obama. I was one of those people who believed it. You know how many people believed that Obama was going to change this nation?
Yeah.
So this is where I'm discouraged. And, I don't know what type of game this is, the fall of the republic to the people who are in power. I don't know what type of sick entertainment this has become. But if the world must burn, I will watch it. I will watch it from afar. I will not participate, but I will cast my vote. And I will say...
Are you going to be in Studio 192, the one in space?
Exactly. I'm going to be far away broadcasting radio. That's if
you're so smart.
The UN doesn't shut down the internet. Part of the internet's going to be given up to the UN, the US. Obama's, I think it's coming up here, 9/27. Did you know about this? Obama's signing over part of the internet to the UN. It's going to be outside of the United States jurisdiction soon. Just a part of it. But internet advocates or net neutrality advocates, and neutrality just means bandwidth advocacy. The point is
there's other things that go to net neutrality too.
Well, exactly. I mean, there's a domino effect.
Well, all the ads and all the stuff is controlled, and you can't go to certain. Yeah, it's different.
Well,
anyway,
really, what neutrality is about is charging you for the bandwidth.
Okay.
And what it means is people with more money can have better service than you. And so it creates a divide between the information haves and the information have-nots, which is a big deal in a digitized society.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, when the UN gets control, and you'd have to, don't quote me on this, but you'd have to look what Obama's giving up. But did you see Obama in his latest United Nations speech? He was talking about how many good things he's done with TPP, and by the way, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Only 4 pages are known to the public through FISA courts. Like 25 of the 29 pages are still secret. I've mentioned this in a podcast.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm getting at. This election is so crucial. But is it really crucial? Or is it just theater? Because the media they're planning on being like, this is the biggest debate to ever happen. And all that really means is this is the most money we'll ever make.
Right. On
a debate.
Yeah.
So I think for the next few minutes, if you don't mind, I'm going to let you have the floor. I want to hear your thoughts on this political fiasco, this political circus, because I think it's a bread and circus theater, but I'm willing to go along with the popular vote.
Well, I'm kind of in the same boat as you are, but again, I quit paying attention to it. Really, I'm not. I don't want to worry about it. I don't want, because a lot of people see or think if Trump does become president, as some people would say, the Nazi will come out of him, but not necessarily. I'm just saying I see my vote doesn't go to either of them. That's what I feel. That's as much as I care. I really don't even. I don't know. I'm kind of tripped out by everything that was going on, and that's why I kind of stepped away from it. Just fuck it. I don't need to listen to it all anymore. I'm just not going to vote for either of them. But I do want to watch the debates.
And when it comes to back, you remember that important transmission we had when the Texas police shootings occurred?
Roger that.
we're back in that environment. I mean, this has been a continuous environment throughout the summer, but we're back in that. Like Charlotte police shootings. This is Ferguson all over again.
Yeah, well, what happened? I've been working.
You know, it's so hard to keep up with. Just like you were saying that I don't keep up with the political cycle, I have trouble keeping up with all these shootings.
Yeah,
it's absurd. It's like the 60s all over again without substance.
And it's just overdone, overblown. Well, I mean, granted, the shit's going down and there's a lot of shit happening. I mean, overblown by over-mediated, you know. Too much media everywhere.
And you're 100% right, because I mean, new hacks have come out, and I keep bringing up hacks because this is part of the public process now. Whether the powers that be want to admit it or not, the new public information cycle is not only the media but internet hacking. Anyways, George Soros, through some type of non-charitable, some type of nonprofit institution, he's donating money to the Black Lives Matter people. And so we have these wealthy billionaires, millionaires kind of instigating civil disputes.
Right.
And this is coupled with a turbulent political environment. And this is also coupled with the giants. Since World War II, we haven't seen this type of domestic debt accumulation. I mean, we have a gigantic debt problem, and nobody's talking about that. Have you noticed that? Nobody even on the political platform has mentioned our debt.
It's bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
It's because we're on the road to a global economy, a global world, but nobody wants to say that because we're in a transition phase. But why can't we? It's the same thing. Like, we can't tell people aliens are on the planet, and I'm not saying I believe they are or they are not. But the point is if it is happening, do you think the powers that be would tell you it is happening? Wow. This is the same thing about globalization. The globalization problem is just as sensitive as the alien problem, because, and I mean that as a double entendre, by the way, because immigrants are off the scale. The alien problem, whether it be the aliens coming from the crisis created by the destabilization of the Middle East, or the aliens from the Pleiades or whatever star constellation you have in mind, we're not going to disclose the numbers. We're not going to disclose the real impact. And this is the same thing that is occurring with globalization. We're not talking about the debt. We're not talking about any of that. Mind you, we're also not talking about the automation coming with robotics and artificial intelligence.
Right.
Which,
again, it's a lot of people don't want to talk. Well, like, especially them, they don't want to talk about it. They don't want it to be, because then you start thinking like you do. And then, well, we don't all think like you do, Mr. Hawkins, but I mean, it gets super deep if you want to think about it. You know what I mean?
Well, if you want to think, yeah, it can get really deep.
Transhumanism.
Well, the transhumanist agenda, like, that goes so deep. Like, people ask, why are people being so, I gotta be inclusive. People got to be inclusive and tolerant of every type of gender identity. Even people who haven't hit the post puberty awareness, they're like, don't worry, you can decide your gender. And, most kids are confused. The point is they want to destroy genders, right? Because what does that fit into in the future? The idea that you're post-human.
Right. They
want to eliminate biological reference points, so people have an easier time defining themselves as post-human individuals or non-human individuals. But I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah.
But I will say this. The robotics and the automation is coming because just recently I want to touch on two things. One is related to the surveillance state. One is related to communication technologies. DARPA-funded physicists recently made a breakthrough. in quantum teleportation. And that is not to say that we are getting closer to teleporting physical specimens. What I'm trying to get at is we are now finally getting evidence of Einstein's idea of spooky action at a distance, aka quantum entanglement.
Right.
And what that is if you know anything about the photon and the quantum interpretation coming out of the Copenhagen realm of science with Bohr and Einstein and all those guys, those characters, the photon is a particle and a wave simultaneously, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a particle wave duality. What happens with this quantum teleportation is you can excite information through a photon, and you can non-locally distribute the information hyper wirelessly. I say hyper wirelessly because it transcends the normal linear binary. Oh boy, I think I just lost my co-host, which is really unfortunate. But what it does is it transcends the linear binary coding. And what I mean by that is the quantum teleportation rewrites the code of 01101001. And you can send information through the tunnel.
A few technical difficulties today.
Oh, I mean, and you know, you gave me quite a fright, and I've been trying to carry on here.
Sorry,
so yeah, you transcend.
Storms are happening.
Right, we're in the bowels or the bosom of the Midwest, and once in a while, we're on the upper edge of the tornado alley. If anybody knows their geography and their not astronomy, but what is it called again? The weather, the
meteorology.
Meteorology. I was going to say climatologist, but I suppose they're both the same thing.
Thanks for playing.
Right. But yeah, I mean, what happens is quantum teleportation transcends linear binary encoding and decoding. So you can encrypt information inside of a photon, and you can excite a particle non-locally. Right. So the information that you have locally can be distributed hyper wirelessly. And when I say hyper wirelessly, I just mean that it doesn't fit the normal encoding decoding process.
Right.
And it excites a particle on the other end of whatever you're trying to send the information from or to. And the point is with D-Wave and all these quantum computing applications and their processing power, we are going to rebuild the architecture of the internet with photon encryption. If any of the physicists out there, if you really understand what I'm saying, your mouth is dropping, right? Because what that means is you're completely abolishing the normal way in which we communicate through the internet.
True. So now all you have to have is a starting point and an ending point. Not even an ending point, an other side.
Well, you don't need keys. You don't need keys on the other side. So what that means is I could encrypt. Yeah, I could use information encrypted in a photon through quantum teleportation. Mind you, quantum is just a synonym for very small.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when I say quantum teleportation, I mean very tiny teleportation. I could send information as a photon, and you don't need a key to access it because the information itself is encrypted within the photon. It's a unique piece of data. And combine this with the world of the IoT and the cloud. Combine this with the Internet of Things and how everything's going to be linked one day to a cloud. Can you imagine with unlimited bandwidth, upstream and downstream, the amount of information you can send with quantum teleportation applications through something like D-Wave? or any type of quantum computing process. Mind you, China just... It is. It blows my mind. And I'm going to get out of the technical jargon, and I think we're going to kind of relieve the listeners' ears after this, because I feel like we've kind of hit them hard in the beginning segment. But folks, we're entering a new era of communication. And the point is transhumanism and all that, when they want to merge with machines, this is part of it. The more we speed up information and abolish time and space, the closer we get to this idea that people are merging with the information that makes us human. And guess what Francis Bacon said? Francis Bacon, the founder of scientific method, said, knowledge is power. And so the more knowledge you have, the more power you have. The state knows that. Individuals who are scientifically inclined, they know that. And it's time you wake up and you realize this. No more paying attention to your fantasy football. No more paying attention to the things that are irrelevant, because people, the Friedrich Nietzsche Übermensch, is one day going to have this technology and exert his Overman control apparatus over you. And your life is going to be a series of puppetry pulled by the person above you if you don't wake up to the world that is slowly evolving all around you. And I would like to close the technical jargon and all the hard-pressed ideas with that point. And if you have any other comments to add, be my guest. But then I'd like to move into what happened with CM Punk at MMA.
I was going to say Brangelina, but we can talk CM Punk. No. Oh, CM Punk. Well, I don't know. I don't remember exactly what I said. I think really what I felt was maybe CM Punk could do something, but we all knew that he was going to get beat quickly. I mean, Mickey Gall was a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, solid brown belt. And exactly what happened, he was the fight starts, Mickey Gall takes him to the ground in like 20 seconds. CM Punk doesn't know how to defend. Mickey Gall takes his back, chokes him the F out. After a few punches.
Was that Thunder?
It's the Thunder Roll. When the Thunder rolls, boom, boom, boom. Thunder rolls.
And lightning strikes.
2:30 in the morning. Not a soul
in sight. But, CM Punk was bound to lose. Do you think he's too old to get in? Like, do you think there's an entry barrier for age?
Okay, man. People have been... The guy he fought has been in it like since 8 years old. It's a new age of mixed martial arts. It's these people that have literally been doing it since they were babies, since they were kids, since they were toddlers.
Right. So how does a guy like CM Punk even compete with that?
Well, he has to. The worst thing about it is he can't do amateur anymore because he already went professional. So he can't go down in class or in I don't even know what you call that, status, we'll say. But what he has to do is go fight in Bellator or some smaller organization like that and start learning. He has to keep training and keep focusing. You're not gonna. You're. He was I think one of the first people ever that UFC, maybe the first one ever that UFC brought in without any experience whatsoever.
Can I say one thing?
Raindrops on a window. There's a storm rolling in. He's
keep the MMA and the Garth Brooks
Sorry.
in the back catalog. Have the software running in the background because when I lost you, yeah, and I'm sure like if it's recorded, you're gonna see me be like, say, wait a minute. Well, because I didn't know if we were still live, but it said we were still live. But I was like, he's gone. And my partner's gone. I'm all alone.
I was like, technical difficulties. Let me jump.
But I forgot to conclude with the whole. I said I would mention one other DARPA story, and it just popped into my mind. I just wanted to say it because I don't want the listener to be like, "Oh, you're so convoluted." let me just say it. So to satisfy your appetite. The other DARPA story I wanted to get at is DARPA officially launched an aerial dragnet surveillance program over major cities. And their whole hypothesis is they want to surveil the drones with drones. So I'll just end it with that and let that sink into the listener's mind. But yeah, I mean, CM Punk, man, is he a contract fighter? Like, okay, here's the thing. Brock Lesnar, he's a prize fighter. He comes in for a lump sum, right? He comes in for a lump sum. But the way you're talking, CM Punk is a contract fighter.
Well, it was
so he has to fight multiple fights. Does he not?
No, he got to sign, I believe, for one fight.
Okay, see, I don't get that how this works. How do the MMA fighters get paid? Do they get paid per fight, or do they sign a contract where they say, I'm yours till I retire?
They sign, okay, most of them sign contracts that you have to do 5 fights. And that means they have to do all the media stuff, they have to do all the commercials, all the stuff that goes along with it. CM Punk just had to sign for 1 fight, I believe, and just to see, it was an evaluation fight, I guess. I don't know. It was a hyped bullshit fight that probably shouldn't even happen. But I mean, I love CM Punk he's got the balls to get in there at his age, man. He's a badass. He's not super old, but he's
integrity.
Technically, yeah, he is technically kind of old to get in there in his first fight for the UFC. I mean, it's stacked way against his favor.
Right. And I kind of saw that going in because, I mean, not that ballerinas are not sophisticated, but let's face it, the WWE is manly ballerina ship, I guess I would call it. Mm-hmm. And going into that, and I asked you before, I said, I thought this CM Punk guy, he had like training in Taekwondo or something before the WWE, and you said, no, man, this is his only training exercise, and he's just jumping balls deep into this new program.
I think this was way before he even started the show. Or maybe it was, and this wasn't on the show either. I think this
just to clarify, 3 WWE prospects have made their way to the MMA. 2 for sure. 1 I haven't seen, but you say the one has actually participated in amateur fights but didn't make the cut. David Batista.
Yep.
Exactly. Brock Lesnar, CM Punk.
I think there's been a few more, but nothing really to bring into consideration for we'll say stars.
And when is Brock gonna fight again? Because that was a great fight and everything, but once again, I kind of feel like the MMA. I know
it was
part
juiced
of their
to the
game is
tits.
money, but I also he was juiced to a tit, and I don't feel like Mark Hunt. It was an incredible participant, but did he get cheated?
Lesnar
was he cheated in this? No. Was Mark Hunt cheated by the MMA?
A lot of people think he was.
I think he was too, and I'm not even like an official enthusiast. I just, as an outsider, I saw it as Mark Hunt got cheated, and it's not fair because you let this prize fighter, this behemoth, you get this Viking-esque,
he's literally a Viking,
masculine titan, and he comes strutting into the arena, and you're like, my God, Mark Hunt, did you know that? And then by the time you're trying to communicate,
he's so big.
Right. By the time you try to communicate to Mark Hunt, look, man, you're fighting this guy. He's not like he's on the ground. Remember and the point is
remember when Brock Lesnar was on top of him and like Mark Hunt kind of looked to this. Fair. He looked to the side, and you could see it in his eyes, like, "What the fuck did I do?"
Yeah, and we're talking about a Samoan giant. Dude, we're talking about a guy who's not that small.
Dude, I've watched him since I was one of the first fighters I ever watched when I was young. Like really got into.
Right. So I mean, what is going on here? Are they gonna have Brock Lesnar fight somebody in his actual weight group? Are they gonna keep on giving MMA fans a show?
I don't know. Well, I'm not quite sure, but I do know one thing. The only man with bigger hands than Brock Lesnar, Shane Carwin, who did knock out Brock Lesnar, is coming back soon.
Really?
Yeah, dude, he's a bad.
Now who is this? Who is this?
He's one of the only people that fucking knocked out Brock Lesnar. Just straight, like, beat him down.
Well, and the worst thing is not many
Brock
people
also
are in
beat
his
him.
class, in his weight. You know what I mean?
The dude's huge.
Because
And-
we have fighters in the MMA that are more than capable of being technical people to knock him out. It's just they're not in his weight.
Yeah, Brock has a 3XL glove. Shane Carwin has a 4XL.
Oh, Jesus.
4X. It's like putting both your hands together to make one hand.
It's like fucking getting hit by the Bible.
It's great. But, man. So,
well, okay, what's the next UFC event, though?
I haven't even, honestly, I haven't looked anything about anything that I've wanted to lately. I've been working so much, I haven't been able to keep my head in the game right now. So
who's the Special Forces character that always comes in and fights, and he's just everybody thinks he's a monster, a disciplined monster? Tim Kennedy? Is that his name?
Tim Kennedy's a badass. He's supposed to fight soon, I believe.
He's supposed to fight soon, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure he is. What's the deal with that guy? He's like a Army Special Forces, Army Ranger? What is he?
I think he's Army Ranger. I can't quite remember.
I mean, that's pretty cool. You get this public kind of, Army veteran coming in to the private fight arena.
He's a bad mother. Oh, shut your mouth. He's pretty. He's a big dude, man. He's solid. You can tell he's special you can tell he's armed forces. Excuse me, for sure. Like right when you see him, like, oh, he's a brat. He's an army brat. He's something army or something,
It's on the road. It's on the road. Bam, bam, bam.
What a good song.
Well, yeah, I can't believe. I can't believe the Thunder
window.
knocked you out.
Goes into the drive. She rushes out to
Nick
hold
Ritter
him.
tapped out.
Thankful he's alive. But on the wind and the rain. I'll stop. A strange new perfume. I don't even want to stop. So, yeah.
Ritter got tapped out, and he wasn't really live. And, yeah, I didn't even think you were coming back. And then all of a sudden, boom, you were back. Yeah. So I was thankful.
I'm alive. The lightning probably struck my whole house. I don't know. It was a quick off on. It was weird. So then I had to sign some new agreement on Google.
Did you really?
Yep.
I hear we should probably disclose this to the listeners. We are planning, folks. I know we've been saying it for weeks.
Long time. We got the camera now.
But we're for real.
We are.
We are on the cutting edge. We are about to go live with video.
Topic.
And you, for the very first time, will see Nick Ritter's face, but I'm going to be blurred out. No.
We have this picture of you. People have seen my face accidentally, I believe. What's a good?
No, that's just. I can't wait to go video. I mean, we're gonna have sketches for the audience. Why don't we just talk a little bit, like just off the cuff, candid with the audience here? Let's do it live
On episode 25. I think it's gonna be fun, man. Especially we have a lot of cool things kind of just planned out, and I think we were going to get on the mic last night, of course, and
I was gonna get on the mic last night.
And we kind of just chit chatted and brainstormed. I can't wait for the ungoogleable man.
The ungoogleable man. I cannot find him on Google, sir. He's ungoogleable.
This might be a tribute to Mr. Hawkins because you can't Google that mofo.
No, you can't. I'm the ungoogleable man.
He's out somewhere in the ether. We just have to excite his photons.
Exactly. That's the brilliancy of what we're doing in auditory osmosis. We have a scientific background in how we caress the neurons of the brave new world.
I like to tickle the little hairs inside people's ear holes. And I play those drums as if it were like a rock band, and I'm in the back, you're in the front playing guitar. I'm doing lead vocals also. It'd be great.
I've thought about being a rock star in my dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Lucid dreaming. Can I ever actually, I want to tell you about it. Have you ever had lucid dreams? I know we've talked about lucid dreams. I mean, we've had abduction experiences and interdimensional portal experiences. For
Dude,
real.
I definitely have lucid dreams. I like to actually give myself the lucid dreams and make myself go into sleep paralysis first. And then it's kind of...
You know what I found out?
What?
No, go ahead.
And then after
whatever you're saying, but
after sleep paralysis sets in, your body, it's kind of like being in a sensory deprivation chamber. Your mind's able to just take off, and your mind doesn't worry about your body anymore because your body's turned off, but your mind's still just cruising. It's a pretty cool experience.
I've bypassed the sleep paralysis part. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's
I had to do it at first, but now it's a lot easier to just skip it.
Well, hey, look, sleep paralysis is part of the lucid dreaming prospect. And what I mean by that is people who try to control lucid dreams have to go through this phase where I don't know if it's a universal experience, but sleep paralysis is definitely a prerequisite. It's a prerequisite to lucid dreaming.
Well, it's definitely getting your mind and body kind of together, but at the same time separate. You know, it's hard to explain.
I would tell you, to conquer the fear of sleep paralysis is something else. Like, if you conquer that, folks, you're going to be all right. The apocalypse won't be that bad.
Have you ever woke up in sleep paralysis where, like, you couldn't...
Or the apocalypse, as James Joyce said. Sorry,
like...
I've been reading Finnegan's Wake again. And he's been using crazy, like, he always rewords things like apocalypse, like he worded it as apocalypse. Anyways, what were you saying?
I can't remember now. Something about sleep.
You know, when you're doing sleep paralysis, you get into this lucid dream state because you're in this limbo, right? Not to quote Catholicism and the point between when you're in purgatory, but it's not like that. It's more of this limbo between a physical state and a lucid state. Because what I mean by the physical state is, let me put it to you this way. When you have a sleep paralysis situation and you have to deal with it, you are actively participating in a situation where your mind's going, hey, hello, I'm awake. Excuse me.
Yes.
Arms, legs.
Mm-mm. Nope.
Arms.
Mm-mm.
Legs.
Nope.
No, am I dead?
And then you get
arms, legs, arms, and then you either get scared or you conquer it.
Well, you get that prickly feeling too, where like your body was trying to make you.
Oh, that's the worst.
Like move, and it's like an itch, but you're not. You don't move, don't itch it, don't scratch it. You just get it out of your head. Just keep going into that space somewhere in the ether with your mind, and then get over that little itch. Don't scratch it, don't move. And then boom.
You know what I had when I was like a few years ago when I first experienced sleep paralysis. It was like a demonic expression, and I was scared out of my mind when I first experienced it. When I first experienced it, I thought somebody was holding me still. I thought I was turned on my left side.
Here,
right?
listen to this. Sorry, I'm interrupting.
You know what? Tell your no. Go ahead. Tell your story, and then I want to tell the folks about my first sleep paralysis experience.
This is something that people say skeptic or no, mind you, this is going to be a little weird, but they say a lot. Sometimes
I've heard it all about this.
They say sometimes when sleep paralysis happens, it's some sort of spirit holding you down to try to get your mind, like it's supposedly, I don't know. It's so super weird, but they say it's a spirit that is around you trying to hold you down. Like if you've ever woken
and that's
up.
a medieval perspective, and you're right. No, you're 100% right. In fact, a lot of New Age spiritualism cites it as still, I guess, an interdimensional effect.
Right. Pretty weird. Yeah, we can go deep into that, but we're not going to.
Well, okay. My first sleep paralysis experience was kind of like what you just said, because I was in my bed, right? So there I am, Mr. Ether Hawkins and his plush goose feather pillows. Oh, yeah, I'm sleeping. And all of a sudden, I'm on my left-hand side. I sleep on my side. It's just the way I work. I don't usually sleep on my back, but if you've studied sleep paralysis, the majority of the time it occurs when you're sleeping on your back. This happened when I was on my side. And this has been the most potent and most revealing episode of sleep paralysis I've ever experienced. I was on my side, on the left side, and my eyes opened, because what happens is your brain activates, but your body's still asleep.
Right.
And I couldn't move anything. So your brain, thinking that your body can't move, it literally thinks you're in a dream state. And mind you, lucid dreams are a little different. Sometimes you wake up in your room in a lucid dream and you're able to walk around. That's a lucid dream. You're just aware of it. But a sleep paralysis episode is when your brain wakes up and you can't move.
Yeah, and you're not.
So I was lying on my left and I immediately went silent. I was like, oh my God, what the fuck is holding me down? There's something in my bed. Oh my God, I don't know what's in my bed. Should I move? Should I move?
That's exactly.
I tried to move my legs, but what if it's holding me? And here's the thing, folks. When you're going through this, you don't know if there's something in your bed or not, because you can't move and you can't confirm it. So when I first experienced it, it literally felt. And they call it the old hag in medieval tradition, what Nick Ritter was talking about, somebody on your chest, because there's pressure on your chest. But I was on my side. So I felt like somebody was tightly squeezing my arms and tightly squeezing my legs. That was the very first episode I ever had with sleep paralysis. It scared the bejeebies out of me.
Dude, it's really, really weird. Especially when you don't try to do it and it just happens. And the first time I ever,
it's because you wake up and you go, I'm awake, yeah, but you're not. You're really not awake because you can't move.
My first lucid dream, I can tell you this. It was
tell me, because I have two more sleep paralysis stories that are the most scariest.
It was I was working two jobs, so I was working at the club from like 8 in the morning till 5 at night, and then going to the other job from 5 to whatever, right? So I was doing this.
And not 50 cents clubs.
No, I was doing this the whole summer, but just like pretty much towards the end of the summer, probably a month left. I was so tired, dude, going between jobs. I closed my eyes in my car and then just started like flying through, literally flying over the world. Like it was the weirdest thing. Wow. And then I could start changing and manipulating everything in my dream. And I realized, like once I woke up from that, and I was like, oh my God, it felt so real. It felt so vivid. It felt like I was in control of everything. And I was doing all this crazy shit that I know that is a physical impossibility on Earth, right? But when I woke up from this, all I wanted to do was do it again, but I didn't know how. But that's when I started looking into it. And that's
Yeah,
weird.
what did you originally think? Like,
I
did
thought,
you realize it was a physical mental phenomenon, or did you think it was a purely mental phenomenon?
it was an out of body experience. Literally, it was mental, physical. Everything was real about it, but it wasn't. You know, it was crazy.
So before I got into the lucid dreaming state, and I honestly don't experience a lot of sleep paralysis anymore. Every now and then I have symptoms of it, but I don't remember it because I subconsciously know how to defeat it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anyways, the second and the third time after that initial phase where I thought something was holding me in my bed, the second time, the room was completely black, and I tried to move my leg, and something in my brain, it was like my mind was awake, but my eyes weren't open. So I would try to open, and sometimes this happens because you can't move your physical body.
No.
My eyes would try to open, they wouldn't, but I could feel my eyes going, flickering back and forth, but behind my eyelids like this.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I tried to move my leg. You know what happened? And by the way, this is what really got me into like neuropsychology. See, here's the thing about my experience as Ether Hawkins. I've always been interested in real experiences I've had, coupled with my imagination as an individual. So anyways, the second time I had sleep paralysis, I tried to move my right leg, and I remember in my head a distinct loud screeching sound. And knowing that everything's electrical in the mind, what I accompanied everything with was an electrical impulse hitting my synapses in my neurons, and it would go because I was sending signals to my leg to move, but the signal wasn't getting through. So the feedback was occurring with my electrical synapses, and it was occurring in my skull. And since I was mentally awake to the actual feedback, I was mentally able to process how your brain sends electrical signals to a limb, which not many people on this planet. Let me make this clear, Mr. Ritter. Do you know how rare we actually are?
I'd like to think I'm super rare, but again,
I'm an exotic, beautiful creature.
I'm going to be modest here, and I'm just going to say how I would say, and I'm just going to say I don't think I'm very.
Our experiences are rare. Let me just put it that way. I could have quote the percentages.
You and I,
but I guarantee you,
we have definitely been through a lot of questionable times. And I say questionable because all we can do is question them. We have no answers for some of the things that have happened to us. And it's weird.
Well, did you know, like, less than, I think I heard, somebody would have to research this, but I heard that, like, 12% of the human population is over 6 feet. Think about that statistic. Now think about our experiences. Like if you just calculate your height.
Are you putting the Pythagorean theorem in sight right now? Is that what you're trying to make?
No. What I'm trying to say,
I'm just kidding.
Calculate. If you calculate the height and you calculate your experiences, we are very rare, actually.
No, I get it.
Not many people.
I see your compounding statistics right now, basically.
My compounding analysis concurs with
using the calculator.
So that,
yeah, I get it.
And that was my second time, right? That was my second time where I realized, isn't that crazy? I would have never really understood how I would have theoretically, but guess what? I have real. Listen, you mofos. I have real statistical and analytical data to understand how the brain functions when it sends electrical fucking signals to its limbs. Do you understand that? I've actually lived through an unconscious situation where my brain is sending electrical signals to a limb, but guess what? Due to sleep paralysis, I couldn't wake up. And my limb wouldn't move. So guess what? The electrical signals made a sound. It wasn't an auditory sound coming through my ear holes. It was actually in my brain, and it was processed by my consciousness because everything else was numb due to sleep paralysis. Not many people on this planet have experienced that. And my last sleep paralysis episode that blew my mind wide open was when I had an episode and I thought to myself, oh, this is just sleep paralysis, man. You're not being held by some type of demonic creature. Don't worry. Mm-hmm. And the screeching and all the noises are normal. Don't worry about that.
And then
that's what the demon wants you to think. No, for real. Like, the evidence concluded that I was having a sleep paralysis episode. But since I sleep in a room that doesn't necessarily have a lot of light, I cannot confirm that it's day or night.
Right.
So what happened is I woke up and it was completely pitch black. And the first thing that came into my mind was, well, this is it. Here you are. I had a death episode. This is the third most memorable sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis has taught me things, people. I know how to combat this stuff. I slap it away now.
You can learn so much from these experiences, though.
But when I had it, it was crazy. So I was having it, right? And I was thinking, oh my God, all right, I must be. Is this it? Like, this is it? I'm dead? I'm here? Because you can't move your body, folks. No. You're just a head. You're just a floating mental recollection. You're just fucking memories. And there I was, it's dead to the world.
It's like looking through.
And you know what I thought? Files. Right. You know what I thought? Immediately, stuff flashed through my head.
Yep.
Not like this type of experiences where people are like, I see my life flash before my eyes. But I was in sleep paralysis, and what I concluded was I didn't want to be dead because my brain analyzed the situation and said, well, here you are, Ether Hawkins. Somebody's going to find you here in your bed. It knew where I was. My mind knew where I was. And it knew that anybody who would find me where I was sleeping was going to find me sleeping in that bed where I fell asleep.
Right.
It was that capable, right? And here's the thing. I came away from that experience so humbled because I realized that could have been it. That could have been the end. That could have been the end of Ether Hawkins or the person I am. And I will never again have that insight, maybe until I die. But I've taken that insight with me, and it's changed my life, among other things. But I mean, between listening to my synopsis scream and then waking up in pitch black and thinking to myself, this is it. Somebody's going to find you here. You're dead.
Right.
And then waking up to that because my body was just sleeping. My mind was awake. Sleep paralysis. Who knew? Those three experiences that I just described to you, listeners, are the three things that have shaped some of my personal attributes and some of the things that I live with day to day. Like, I think about day to day that tomorrow might not happen. And if that is true, you better make the most of today. And don't just please don't live in this moment to moment indifferent phase of your life, because until you have those moments, you really don't understand what you're doing and what you're living, because what you're doing and what you're living is incredible. It's surreal. It's beautiful. it's the icing on the fucking cake, and the cake is the universe. And you can't eat the cake all the time, but you are the icing. You are the moment of this pinnacle of time and space and the genetic association of everything that has come before you. And you are the genetic compilation of everything up until this point. So live your life thoroughly and live it now. Sleep paralysis changes your world.
Brought to you by Mr. Hawkins. This has been a sleep paralysis report. But brought to you by Mountain
But isn't
Dew.
it true, Mr. Hawkins? Or Mr. Hawkins?
Well, you're talking to yourself
I'm
again.
talking to myself. Shit. No, Mr. Ritter, isn't it true? Like, just sleep paralysis is crazy.
It's a weird thing. And what do you think about like, I don't know, the unconscious dimension, or like what? Okay, this is how I would see it. It's like, technically when we're conscious, we're in this world, right? What do you think about
Right.
we're going to a different world when we turn off? Do you think our conscience is going to a different
Yes.
dimension? And
Yes.
like, I almost think it's true too. But and this is kind of why I think that you can control your dreams, and you can get things out of it. You
become conscious in the other dimension.
Yeah, exactly. But you have to make yourself be able to be conscious, and you can live 2 days. You can live a day while you're working in the real world or living in the real world, and then you go to sleep and you can do a whole nother day. But
So for 6 months, I had a complex dream journal. And what I mean by that is I was recording journalistic things throughout the day, and then I was comparing it with my dreams. And remember back in episode 1 when we talked about Nikola Tesla?
yeah,
And we talked about how he believed his actions in the real world would compound in the dream state.
right.
Well, that is true. I know it's true because of statistical analysis. I have experienced thoughts and have had experiences that replay in the dream state or the different dimensions, but they're expressions that are distorted. And I think they're parallel worlds in a different dimension that we're living. And this gets really deep and maybe kooky to some of you guys.
Most likely.
But the point is I think that we as individuals and as conscious entities are operating a flesh shell, a spacesuit, if you will. And this is a dimension that we're cognitively aware of through our evolved inception inside the universe. So the 5 senses programmed through the intellect, our response to the environment. And when we go to sleep, we connect with the parallel potentialities of every choice we ever make. But all these choices are also calculated with all the choices in the realms that we can't see.
Right.
So the dimensional proportionality that we experience in the quantum realm of
Infinity.
is infinity. Exactly.
Yep. I mean, because it's crazy, because when you think about being other dimensions, right, and these millions or countless, and there's not even a word that describes how many dimensions or whatever, or how many.
Well, think about this right now. Think about what you just did right there.
Right.
I had the word infinity in my head, and through this strange electrical schematic, you just put the word in. Like, really think about that.
Quantum computing.
On a very minuscule level. Like, really think about the potential of that. Like,
right.
What were the odds that you would fill in that word? Have you had those moments with just people every day?
Yeah,
and
for sure.
This is just normal human association, and we call it cognition.
Right.
But there's something more to it, because we're all plugged into the same ether. We're all plugged into the same medium.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it blows my mind.
But again, like I was trying to get to, they say it's infinity, right? So the countless other dimensions. Well, when you go to sleep at night, like we're saying with Nikola Tesla, kind of, don't you think you're living through all of those other dimensions, kind of thing?
Yes.
You're seeing, because basically what I'm saying is, if you made some choice to, we'll say you pick up your microphone and throw it on the ground, okay?
Right.
In a different dimension, you said to yourself,
didn't do that.
I'm not going to pick up the microphone and throw it on the ground because it would break. In another dimension, you're like, no, maybe I should mount it somewhere that I wouldn't even want to pick it up to throw it on the ground. Like, it's infinite amount of variables and
Potentials, right.
Potentials, thank you.
So what I've come up with independently is this idea of organic finite sensibilities. And what I mean by that is each individual has a capacity for sensibility. And that actually stems from the five senses. But that, you being an individual unit inside of this electronic schematic, if you will, you're always versing infinite potential. So it's finite sensibilities versus infinite potential. And I think when you dream, you plug into these other schematics that you are just as involved in, but unknowingly involved. So you're going in with the awareness of the one world versus the infinite potential of all the worlds you occupy.
Right.
And here, let me finish. The variable of death is calculated by all the deaths in the worlds you occupy. So if you die, if the majority of the worlds you occupy you're living in, you die in all the worlds.
Right.
I think that the infinite spectrum of your life is being fulfilled in infinite variables, and all the choices you make in the infinite capacity of your decision will calculate your life.
Do you think?
And they all connect, and they all stream a web. If you're familiar with string theory or M theory, which actually only states 11 universes, which I fucking disagree with.
And also 13 is another number they were throwing out.
Yeah, well, that'll be interesting because 13 is a very
13
important number. But I think that all the variables you live and all your decisions in the variables calculate the variable in the one life you sense, if you follow me.
Right. So what's cool is, if you think about it like this, what we're saying is, when we're conscious, our unconsciousness is still living our different life, but what it's doing is it's bringing all the information that we're living in our other life into this one, because it's our only conscious one we know.
Right. And I think the unconscious world is like a cloud computer. I think it's linked to a cloud inside of an interdimensional sphere.
And this is where we go back to, or I shouldn't say go back to, but this is where we start getting really deep into other things. And
which,
dude, I don't even.
I think we should save some. We should save some effort for episode 26.
We're gonna save topics,
but this episode, I think, has been fantastic. Winding it down for the last 10 minutes. What are some things you want to?
Brad and Angelina, they divorced.
Very important.
Getting divorced. All right, so that's all about pop culture. We're done with that shit.
No, but it is sad. It is sad.
Yeah, because
didn't she have to deal with breast cancer?
All those kids they adopted.
She was Laura Croft. God damn it.
She was. Now we can all have her again.
Right? You're now public domain.
So at work, I've been praying for this for 10 years, and I hate to say this, but
for the breakup?
Well, one of the weddings got canceled this week, or the wedding.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
But they had like 2 other events. They were going to play golf. They had a dinner for 50 people the night before, blah, blah, blah. Dude, it was like a big chunk of change. And some reason they're not getting married now.
Nah, but I mean, the less workload, you like that. It's not necessarily that you like, yes, I have less work.
Right.
But I mean, you like it. You like it.
Yeah, I do. Well, I mean, I've been busting my ass for
You
months,
can't hate it.
all day, every day, and then you get these few things that are like yesterday when I told you, chef's like, we got a lot of people here. You can just go home, and I was like, it stopped me dead in my tracks. I was like, what? It's like, and then
What are you
Alicia,
talking about?
one of the girls that works with me, she looked and turned at me, and she's like, "Have you ever been kicked out of the kitchen before?" I was like,
Oh shit, yeah.
I was like, no, I don't think I've ever been kicked out like that. In a positive way, at least.
Yeah, I mean, did that sadden you, or were you like, hooray?
I was definitely hooraying. Yeah, I turned it into a verb.
Do you think we could ever get? I mean, we're always looking for new guests, right? I mean, we've had Sam, we've had Mr. Aaron. Every now and then, I feel like I slip into like Obama.
We've
had Sam, we've had Mr. Aaron, but no. Do you think we'll ever have somebody like Chef or somebody? Not necessarily. I don't want to degrade our other guests, but somebody who has prestige.
Who is fully enveloped in their topic.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, we will soon, especially when video. I don't know. People might get kind of freaked out by the video and seeing like.
Oh, the video is going to be good.
It'll be great. I can't wait. But yes, we will. We'll have great guests soon. But we need to start focusing on the video rather than the guests right now. We need to bring it to the people.
And once we get enough money, we have to start a think tank for people who've had similar interdimensional experiences that we've experienced, because I'm still convinced that we traveled through interdimensional portals and lived other lives and came back to this time and space.
Should we talk about that to close down tonight? We'll see if people out there can maybe give us a little.
Well, I feel like the sleep paralysis ties into it, but it doesn't.
It
doesn't. Because this is different.
Isn't it? But okay, so we didn't have any drugs that night. We may or may not have smoked one bowl of pot, right? We had gotten off work and we were sitting by the fire, but then we were just like, screw it, let's go walking. And basically walking.
It's a proletariat hobby.
Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily a trail because it was a driveway, but it was a trail. It was through the woods. And we start walking through the woods, and then all of a sudden, I felt like a reset button. And I remember looking up at the moon and then seeing the ground. But and then I looked to my left side and I just saw this shadowy figure. And I didn't know who it was or what it was, but the aura and it was a relief that silhouette was next to me rather than even being scared of the fact that I didn't know what was going on.
We've talked about this in a podcast before, but we're reiterating our experience. The point is, and I want you to continue, but what he's getting at is there was a calming situation, an unaware calming situation where we could not actually label or critique the situation, but it was happening and we were fine with it.
It was what happened was when I was looking up at the moon and I said everything went black. I don't know what it was, or like if we just blasted off to a different, I don't know. I felt like when I realized I was in my body again, or I don't even know if I can explain it like that. I realized that.
Well, and one more thing, and I don't want to cut you off, but people are going to think this is like some type of publicity thing.
I promise.
This is entirely real.
This is 100% real.
This is actually like, when did this happen? Like, I want to say this was around September 2014.
Yeah. And
why I know that is because I'm a writer. Okay, Mr. Ether Hawkins is a writer, and I've cataloged all my writing for years, and ever since this moment, ever since this situation occurred, my writing capabilities and capacity doubled and tripled, doubled, quadrupled.
Creativeness skyrocketed.
Everything skyrocketed. My ability for information. I became
like everything went to a different level for me.
100%. And I just want to give a context for that. So continue with what happened, because I'll reiterate what you say, but because we had the same experiences, but I just want to reinforce it.
And that was the weird thing. It was both of us. Anyway, so when I got back into my body or whatever it was, and I looked to the left and I saw this silhouette. Yeah, it was dark out, but it was like it was a black silhouette, but at the same time, most people because we couldn't explain what had happened in like 5 steps. We could not explain it. Basically, you and I were walking next to each other, and we experienced the same thing. Absolutely,
no street lights
at the same time. Road. No, the only thing was the moon. It was almost a full moon. I remember looking up at it and then seeing the ground. Like
clear sky.
It was perfect. It was beautiful. We were in the country, so there's the only thing we saw satellites that night, or things that may not have looked like satellites, but
yeah.
It was just when I looked at your way, when I knew that there was somebody there, and I didn't know who it was or what it was, but again, it was calming. It was like a sense of, okay, this person's I think if it was anybody else, it would be weird because I wouldn't be comfortable with that
a source of energy,
that aura, exactly. And then everything came back in, and your face came back, everything came back, and we just kind of stopped, and we looked at each other and like, did that just happen to you? I don't understand what it is. Even you putting it in words, and like we've had conversations of different things that it could be. I still can't explain it with words.
Right.
I feel like I'm just fumbling.
No, I mean, that's what it is. And the weirdest part is, as Mr. Ritter described, we were walking down a dirt path, and all of a sudden, I still call it the dissolution of the Matrix, because the whole world dissolved. Mm-hmm. The whole world dissolved and I don't know how long.
That's the crazy.
That's the thing. That's the weirdest part about all this, is I don't know how long this phenomena lasted. And I looked over to Mr. Ritter, who happened to be, and here's the thing, folks. If this was induced by some type of chemical phenomenon, we would have not experienced the same thing at the exact same time. The fact that we experienced it at the exact same time is a tribute to the strangeness of it all. And I looked over, and like he described, we had the exact same experience. He was this black silhouette of energy. And it wasn't necessarily black like we would give the value through the visual spectrum of light. We'd go black, oh, that's evil. It wasn't like that to me.
It's like
to me, it was right.
Like in front of a black hole. Like you'd be standing there, like it'd be darker behind you, but you'd still see the silhouette of you. That's all I know.
And the worst part about this experience is, as we age, it becomes more of a myth than what it was.
Right.
But yet, the things we're telling you right now are the core facts. As we get older, my memory is going to forget about this unless it happens again, which I doubt. But we were walking down the driveway, and boom, it was black. He was a black silhouette of energy, a human black silhouette, like a shadow figure. And I was a shadow figure to him. And we both were energy to each other. Everything else melted around us.
There was gay, dude. No, I'm just kidding. Keep going.
there was absolutely no physical environment for a little bit. It was like this, like I said, the Matrix dissolved.
It was a blast off. It was
And then when we came back, everything was back to normal, but we were high stepping and still like in this mode of what the hell was that? And we just kept walking. We just kept kind of walking.
we didn't even sorry, I'm
Well, no, it's fine. And for years, literally for years, we kind of kept it not under wraps. We always kind of mentioned it, but we never really understood it. And we still don't understand it.
We're
So
trying.
if anybody has any information, please contact us. If this is a government experiment, please contact us. But the point is
That's auditoryosmosis@gmail.com.
we had a ego destruction. I guess that's what the popular science would call it.
It's kind of what it felt like too.
We were nothing, but yet we were everything. And when I looked to him and he looked at me, we were both energy, but it wasn't scary because we were not identities. I didn't even know who I was, but I didn't know who he was.
Right.
But yet that was all right. That was the weirdest part about this whole situation.
Yep.
I didn't know who I was and I didn't know who he was, but that was okay. And that's all I got to say to that whole situation. And I can't describe it with more detail because that is what happened.
I don't even know how to. But again, we left after this night, after this situation happened.
It feels mythic at this point.
It does. I feel like it booted us up. I felt like it turned on a different, like a different CPU inside of our brains. That was like a turbo or like a brain, like it was an upgrade to what we had, and the new video card is now working. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I feel like we lived other lives in a different dimension, came back with the knowledge, and then that knowledge bled through this reality.
God, it's again, you put it in words, and
I really do.
I'm like,
what I just said was what I actually believe.
It's like that sounds great. That sounds exactly what I feel. But then I think about those words, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, it sounds crazy. But it's what happened, people, and we're not lying. This isn't some stunt. But we want answers. We want some sort of answer. So.
Right, and that's why we put it at the end, because we know, based on the analytics, most of you don't make it to the end.
Oh, come on. You gotta give the benefit of the doubt.
I don't want to be hard. On them, but we know, based on the analytics, based on the Big Brother analytics, they don't make it to the end. So it's better to put this type of shit at the end, and it's not shit. But I'm saying, to most people, this would be just shit.
Yeah.
But the truth is the sleep paralysis to this is what we've experienced. And if you haven't experienced this stuff, it may sound foreign, it may sound crazy, but hey, man, thanks for tuning in to Auditory Osmosis.
Yeah, thanks everybody. It's we're gonna cose this evening with the Thunder Roll. When the Thunder rolls, the Thunder Roll.
Actually, you know what? Let's look up. I want you to look up, and we're going to close with the Thunder Rolls.
I got it.
Do you have the lyrics?
I have the lyrics. Do you want to just hear the song? Should I?
Do you just want to hear the song? I want to do the lyrics of the Thunder Rolls.
Okay. Give me 2 seconds here. I have an idea.
An idea, he says.
All right. Ready?
Set, go.
Wait for it. Let's see if it works.
Karaoke with Auditory Osmosis.
How does it look? 3:30 in the morning. Not a soul in sight. You don't see the It's not showing you. Do you look at my video screen? It should be showing.
I could. Oh yeah! Holy shit! And there it is.
So it's 3:30
Nice.
in the morning. Not a soul in sight. Yeah. All right, this is Garth Brooks' song. We're not gonna ruin it. It's a good song. Thunder's rolling outside. Everybody, y'all have a good evening.
It's looking like a ghost town on moonless summer night. Thunder rolls.
Raindrops on the
Thunder rolls.
windshield. There's a storm moving in. He's heading back from
Heading
somewhere
back from somewhere
that he never
that
should
never
have been. Well, all right, we're not gonna make them go through this. Have a good evening, everybody.
I'd like fucking